Let's just a couple of things on personal notes here. First, welcome to the show. Two, this is the closest to 6 o'clock we've started in a while. For the people watching live, it's 6:04. For the people that are watching, or excuse me, for the people listening on the podcast later at 6:04, you should have a parade for this. Anyway, very excited. And then lastly, on the personal note, the morning I do a show after a primetime game, I always try to catch myself on the monitor to see if I look crazy. Oh, I look crazy. For the people on the podcast, I look nuts. Anyway, welcome in, everybody. My name is Mark Farzy, and this is the Farzy Show. We're going to be talking all about your 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles on this particular program. We're going to hear from Nick Sirianni. We're going to hear from Jalen Hurts about their performances last night, and Nick Sirianni talking about his team's overall performance last night. But I had this thought, and I was talking in the green room at Ocean Casino last night with my friend Bill Colarulo there, right? We're discussing, this team still hasn't played their best football. Like, we know they can play their best football. And I finally came to this conclusion. If you played sports at any level, even somewhat of a competitive, like let's say even just in high school, okay? Chances are at some point you've heard from your coach at some point, you guys, you're not just good enough to show up and expect to win. You guys got to go out there and play your best. You got to practice hard. Right? You probably heard that speech about how you're not good enough to just show up and win, okay? The Eagles are pretty damn close to showing up and winning because they have not played particularly great football so far through the first 3 games of the season, and yet they are 3-0. Now, to go back to Jalen Hurts' comments from last week, remember, the standard is important. The standard, it's not just winning. And although the main thing is the main thing and winning is the main thing, it's all about the standard as well. And we've heard about Jason Kelsey talking about how they haven't played up to their standard. We've heard A.J. Brown talk about how they haven't played up to their standard. We've heard Jalen Hurts talk about how they haven't played up to their standard. Everyone talks about how they haven't played up to their standard yet, okay? The standard, as I said last week, and I will continue to say with this football team, as they have their pursuit of perfection in terms of a perfect, we pitched a perfect game. We played a perfect game. We went out there and we played the best possible football we could play for the entire game, okay? Full 60, right? That old cliche. They're still going to be in pursuit of that. This was the closest thing that I saw to it. In this game, it was the closest thing that I saw to the Eagles playing at that standard. But here's the deal. It wasn't consistent. It was up and down. There was ebbs and flows to this game. Jalen Hurts had 2 interceptions. He had a really bad underthrow in the end zone on their first drive when he was looking for Olamide Zaccheaus. Ended up finding him more than a couple of times, so they righted that ship. That's for damn sure. But this was not the perfect game, but it was the closest thing I have seen, especially throughout spurts of the game where they played close to that perfect style of football, offensively and defensively. And the thing is, and I always say this as well, numbers don't lie, but they do deceive. If you look at the numbers for Jalen Hurts after this game, they don't look great. You look at the numbers, 23 of 37 for 277. That's not particularly wonderful. A passer rating of 71.6 in this year. Like, put it this way, Baker Mayfield's passer rating was better than Jalen Hurts last night, okay? So, again, numbers don't lie, but they do deceive. There is no question that Jalen Hurts had the better performance than Baker Mayfield did last night, even with the 2 interceptions. And I'm going to play a cut for you guys a little bit later about Nick Sirianni talking about how the passing game hasn't taken off yet. Jimmy Kempski, Philly Voice, asked him the question after the game about the passing game not taking off yet. And Nick Sirianni said, well, it's easy to look at the stat sheet and say that it didn't take off. And it's like, well, no, it hasn't had a consistent full game yet. But this game, when I watched Jalen Hurts in this game, this was the best brand of football I've seen from Jalen Hurts in the first 3 games of the season by far. And the man had the sniffles. I'll let you hear from him after the game as well, and you hear it in his voice. He sounds sicker than I do every single morning. Like, he sounds terrible. And it's like, oh, damn, this guy does not sound right. Was it even a question at one point as whether or not he was going to play? Doesn't sound exactly healthy. But bottom line was there were periods of time in this game where that looked like the Jalen Hurts that we saw throughout last year. Starting off on the same page with A.J. Brown was fantastic. Getting the ball to DeAndre Swift as often as they did was fantastic. I really felt like, especially in that first half, or excuse me, that first quarter, even though he was hitting A.J. Brown, and then he had the underthrow in the end zone, and they didn't convert on the 4th and 1. I was all for it, by the way. Nick Sirianni wanted to go for it on 4th and 1. I said, I'm your man. You go for it. You go for it, Nick. You go for it in your first possession of the game. Try to get that first down. Try to get something more than a field goal. And then I don't know what the hell Brian Johnson called in that situation, but whatever the hell that play was, that was garbage. That was a horrible idea. That was a halfback draw, I guess, with Kenny Gainwell, not even DeAndre Swift. Okay, and they didn't get it. I thought it was dumb. I didn't mind the decision. I minded the play call and the personnel in that particular instance. They didn't get it. It ended up going the other way. It did not end up burning the Eagles, obviously. But after that, I thought Brian Johnson did a wonderful job, and I thought Jalen Hurts was very good, with the exception of a real bad miscommunication that he had with DeAndre Swift on a wheel route. The deep ball that he had to Devontae Smith, it would have been in the front of the end zone, that put them on their goal line, which again didn't end up hurting the Eagles because they ended up getting a safety out of it. But still, just better decisions and better communication. And that's what was said. That's what it looked like. And then that's what was said after the game by both Jalen Hurts and then the head coach as well. So overall, I felt like for the vast majority of this game, you saw a very good brand of football from Jalen Hurts. The touchdown pass to Zacchaeus, there was a 6-second Jalen Hurts had the ball from snap to throw for 6 seconds. That's ungodly. That's incredible. And he stood in the pocket, did not look to scramble, and he just stood there like a statue and found Zacchaeus down the field for a touchdown. Now, earlier on that same drive, when he hit Zacchaeus for a 34-yard pass play, he had to do all sorts of scrambling to get out of that pocket, and he was able to find his man downfield. And he was open down there on the sideline. He was able to take it a couple of more yards for after the catch there, which was great. But overall, you saw a pretty solid performance from Jalen Hurts when the team needed to have a solid performance. All in all, it was not perfect. It was far from it. But I would definitely call it, at the worst, a solid performance there from your, I still believe, perennial MVP quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And now you're looking at yourself, and you're looking at the 49ers right now, and the Miami Dolphins in the AFC as your now 3-0 teams. I'm very excited from what I've seen from this football team so far this year. And to go back to the point, we've all had those coaches that gave us that speech when we were younger about, hey, you're not good enough to show up and win. Eagles are pretty damn close to that, because they just show up, they don't play their best football, and then they still win. And I love it. I'm here for it, because one of the other themes after last night's win was this idea that the Eagles are on this journey. And Nick Sirianni talked about it after the game. They're on this journey. Everything's going to improve. Everything's going to be good. It's just you're just continuing to improve. And everything is a growth. And he started, and look, there's no better example than this. And if you want Brian Johnson to get a little bit of a feather in his cap for last night's performance, here's a good thing, okay? And maybe for his overall improvement from the very start of the season to now 3 games into the season. It doesn't tell the whole story, but Eagles in week 1 against the Patriots go for 251 total yards. Not great, but they win. Then against Minnesota last week, by NFL standard, week 2, they go for 430 yards. Not bad. And then last night against these Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa on the road in the rain, going for 3-0. They go from 430 to 472. So the bottom line is they keep on going up when it comes to total yards per game. Now, I don't know if that's a direct reflection of Brian Johnson, but it shows improvement. It shows that whatever he is doing, it shows that whatever this team is calling, whatever this team is running, whatever this team is game planning with Nick Sirianni throughout the week, whatever they're doing, it's working. And they keep on adding on those numbers, everything else is going to fall into place. Yes. Do I want to see more consistency from the offense, more consistency from the passing game? I certainly do. But if you got a hot hand running the football the way you do with DeAndre Swift, then man, oh man, you're set up for success. You're set up for sustained success. Before we get to any post-game cuts or anything like that, before we go any further with really breaking down the game and going through it, I want to get you guys my top 5 things I take away from this game. My top 5 things that I take away from this game. First out of the gate, I want to mention just Jalen Hurts. It's not the most important thing. It's not his overall performance and all that stuff. It's not the greatest thing I saw, but just my overall takeaway My 5 things from this, Jalen Hurts, one of the first things that jumps out to me. Because during long sustained drives that the Eagles had in this, you saw him consistently be able to connect with either Dallas Goedert or A.J. Brown. Now, you might say, oh, A.J. Brown's night, and you look at him, and he had 14 targets tonight compared to Devontae Smith, who only had 5. Oh, because of the targets that A.J. Brown didn't get in week 2? Yes, I'm going to answer that question for you. No one else is going to tell you the real truth. Here's the real truth. Yes. That's exactly what it was about. The squeaky wheel got the grease. And you know what? I'm fine with that. Because I don't mind getting the ball to A.J. Brown. Now, look, A.J. Brown had a great game last night. 131 yards on the 9 catches on the 14 targets. That's pretty damn good. But he dropped a touchdown. And they were trying to get him a touchdown. He was trying to get himself a touchdown last night. And I'm not here to hate on it. But Jalen Hurts quieting that storm. The offense being able to get the ball to him, to A.J. Brown so many times, I thought that was a great thing. And overall, I saw enough flashes throughout this game where I went, oh, that's the Jalen Hurts. Okay. I remember in the first drive, he hits A.J. Brown, I think 3 times on that first drive. And I'm watching it, and I'm going, okay, all right, this is the guy. Bullet passes. Like, this guy's throwing darts. Jalen Hurts throwing darts. And I'm like, oh, this is the guy I've seen before. And then the next possession, not so great. Then the interception happens. He throws a touchdown passes. He gets the keys in that second quarter. There was kind of a feeling out process there, like in a boxing match. And then I thought you saw enough flashes from him that show you he is getting on the same page as his targets, which is great. And getting on the same page as his new offensive play caller in Brian Johnson. So all that is great. It's the first thing that jumps out to me about last night's game. The other thing that jumps out to me that's a little bit more off the beaten path is Reed Blankenship, man. Reed Blankenship comes back after having the rib injury, and I know he gave a piggyback ride to Mike Evans. I told you there was going to be a point in this game where you're going to see Reed Blankenship on Mike Evans, and there it was. And Mike Evans just, first off, made an insane, he's not even human type of catch, and he went up with one hand and got it, and then he just rode on the back of Reed Blankenship for a second before coming down. But Reed Blankenship, in the second quarter of this game, came up with an interception. Unfortunately, Jalen Hurts threw his first interception of the game right after it, so it didn't really end up helping the Eagles too much, but still came up with that interception. Also came up aggressively to the line of scrimmage and got a tackle for loss in this game. And I thought that's what the Eagles miss. If they don't have him back there, they certainly miss that kind of safety that can come up and play aggressively at that line of scrimmage. And that's exactly what you saw from Reed Blankenship yesterday. Loved seeing that. Also, not bad celebration with the Eagles getting in that end zone there and celebrating the way they did. That was good. You force a turnover, you get a takeaway, especially if it's the first one of the season for a quarterback like Baker Mayfield. You enjoy every second of it. And that's what the Eagles did in that particular instance. So Reed Blankenship definitely jumped out at me last night. Number 3 I'm going to go with here is the offensive line. They lose Landon Dickerson last night. Knee injury, I believe it is. Or is it a calf? I'll have to go back. But they lose him. Sua Opeta comes in, and they don't miss a beat. This offensive line is incredible. Stoutland University is just pumping out doctorates in blocking dudes. That's basically what it's doing. It's incredible. And this team last night, and I'm going to get into DeAndre Swift, don't you worry. But, oh, my goodness. Some of these plays where you see DeAndre Swift or Kenny Gainwell or anybody, even Jalen Hurts, he gets the ball in the backfield, has the ball in the backfield, and then you just see like the Red Sea parting, and you could drive a truck through this space, and guys are just running right through those holes, man, and they are just getting upfield, and they're gaining yards, and the defensive or offensive line is just blowing guys off the football. And then you saw one screenplay that had some good success. DeAndre Swift showed a little bit more patience on the one screenplay that they ran for him. There's another instance where they were able to run it again, but guys are getting off the line of scrimmage to make blocks upfield. They just continue to dazzle me, and it's unreal. Now let me get to DeAndre Swift. This is number 4. DeAndre Swift himself, ladies and gentlemen, 1 carry in week 1. 1 carry in week 1. DeAndre Swift went into week 3 in the NFL as the 3rd leading rusher. He's now the 2nd leading rusher behind only Christian McCaffrey. What? On what planet does that make sense? And I know some people were getting upset. I know in the green room we were all talking about Kenny Gainwell was getting a lot of touches there late in the game. And why are you getting DeAndre Swift? No, I'm fine with it. DeAndre Swift is the number one running back. Your number one running back in a 25-11 game should not be getting fourth quarter touches. I am keeping him fresh. I'm keeping him ready to go. I'm keeping him healthy. So I had no problem whatsoever with the fact that DeAndre Swift wasn't getting that many touches in the fourth quarter. Kenny Gainwell get touches? Fine. That is blowing up in the Eagles' face right now. Look, as of this second, the idea of Kenny Gainwell being the number one running back coming out of that backfield is just ridiculous. Third leading rusher in the NFL. James Cook is third. James Conner is fourth. Tony Pollard is fifth in the NFL. DeAndre Swift is the number two guy only behind Christian McCaffrey. That's pretty good. And then offensive line has a lot to do with it. But DeAndre Swift, this is the perfect. I talked about, the offensive line opening up holes that you could drive a truck through. There's the 126-yard run that DeAndre Swift had north to south. Just got the ball, ran up the middle. No one was near him for 10 yards because of the way the offensive line was blocking. Jason Kelsey, I think at that point it was still Landon Dickerson, just, excuse me, gentlemen, it is coming through. And they opened up the doors, and there went DeAndre Swift right up the middle for 26 yards with a hurdle at the end, just for good measure. It was awesome. It was fantastic. That's the kind of run you could get from DeAndre Swift. I mentioned the one screenplay. You got positive yards out of it. It wasn't great. I think it was only like 8 yards, but whatever it was, it showed that he still showed that he has that ability. And then he has that little stutter step on the right side of the line of scrimmage, and he was able to break that off for a big gain as well. And he got up to the line of scrimmage, stutter step, waited, blocks opened up, and he got a big run out of it as well. So you saw the hesitation. You saw the stutter step. You saw the patience, most importantly, from DeAndre Swift to allow the offensive line. If they didn't have the block right out of the gate, the block was going to be there eventually, and it was there, and he hit it, and he was fantastic with it. Then you saw the other instance where he ran up the middle for 26 yards in a hurdle, and the blocking was right there, right out of it. Boom, right there. It was awesome. Absolutely loved seeing that. And I had this realization watching that particular play where he had the stutter step at the line of scrimmage. It's like we talked a lot about it. We talked a lot about it with LaShawn McCoy when he was here. We talked a lot about it when Miles Sanders was here, very recently, Miles Sanders being here, about that whole idea of dancing behind the line of scrimmage. In these two games, you don't see it. And it's twofold. It's offensive line, just you don't need to dance. The hole's right there. We just made it. Go, hit the hole. And the other is DeAndre Swift does not waste steps behind the line of scrimmage, and you can't waste steps behind the line of scrimmage. There's no time for that. Yeah, in baseball, they talk about how you got to take steps away from the runner. From home to first, you got to take steps away from the runner. Can't bobble the ball, just obvious stuff like that. You got to be quick with it. Take away steps, you're going to get outs. Well, if you're not using your steps efficiently behind the line of scrimmage, you're going to get tackled for a loss. You're going to be doing too much dancing, and then the worst case, you turn the ball over. DeAndre Swift is an extremely efficient runner. What I've learned about watching DeAndre Swift through his first two games versus what I've seen in Detroit, you are seeing, not that that's a terrible offensive line in Detroit by any means, even last year, but watching DeAndre Swift, the man is very efficient about what he does behind the line of scrimmage. And that is a sight for sore eyes because we talked about it for so long with Miles Sanders. We talked about it for a long time with LaShawn McCoy. Now, he would hit the hole eventually and get huge yards out of it, of course. The Eagles' all-time leading rusher. And now you're looking at it like this with DeAndre Swift, where it's like, wow, you don't have to worry about a lack of efficiency with what he's doing when the football's in his hands. If he's waiting behind the line of scrimmage, it's not because he's dancing. It's not because break this out the other way. It's like, no, let me trust my blocking. Oh, there's the hole. Oh, boom. And he goes. Fantastic. And then this guy, number one, the biggest thing that continues to jump off the screen to me onto my notepad and then into highlight reels when I'm just watching what he's done afterwards. I just got done watching the extended highlights again of last night's game. I was really racking my brain, especially for a non-skill position, like a non-wide receiver, running back, quarterback, corner, anything like that. I can't Nobody really jumps to mind. Even Fletcher Cox in his rookie year. Nobody jumps to mind about a rookie looking like a man amongst boys the way Jalen Carter plays defensive tackle. I'm shocked by it. And Seth Joyner got into this last night. I know a lot of people have gotten into this on social media as well, but Jalen Carter just looks like that guy. Like, he just looks like the fact that the Eagles got him at 9 is insane. The fact that he didn't go in the top 3 is bonkers. And Seth Joyner got into that last night. Like, really, the league let Howie Roseman get Jalen Carter. And Jalen Carter has started off his career the way he started off his career here in Philadelphia. Last night, quarterback hit, half sack. He split that with Fletcher Cox. Forced a fumble. Forced 2 fumbles, actually, just in last night's game alone. There is always a force in the middle of that line of scrimmage when Jalen Carter's on the field. And Baker Mayfield went in the last night's game without turning the football over. It was well documented. They're not even throwing an interception in the first 2 games of the season and all that stuff. He played phenomenally. It's just coming off a game where he had 114 passer rating. And every single time Baker Mayfield dropped back to pass, he had to worry about how quick Jalen Carter was going to be in his face. He had to worry every single defensive tackle. Tui Pelotu also came back there and got a sack for himself. How about that? Every single time, Baker Mayfield, you could see it as the game went on, started to get a little happy feet. DT's breathing down my neck. Got to get rid of the football. I can't. I was racking my brain. I was really trying to think, who is somebody that just, like, from the get-go just showed that man strength the way Jalen Carter has that man strength. And they got a shot of him after he forced that fumble on the sidelines there. And the way that came in, this was another thing that was so fantastic, is that the Eagles defense was just there to pick up. And if the offense had a mistake, the Eagles defense was there to pick them up. But Jalen Carter, when he forced that fumble, they had a great shot of him walking down the sidelines when he came out of the game. His helmet was off, and you could just tell, read his lips, and it was just like, bleep, yeah. Like, that's what I'm here for. That's the guy. I'm amazed by it. I'm absolutely amazed by him and his ability on the football field as a rookie. He is just that dude. Like, I know people jump to Jerome Brown, and I'm fine with it. Yeah, sure. Ndamukong Suh obviously was a force when he came into the league. Just guys that are men amongst boys right out of the gate. Like, there's just something special about them. And Jalen Carter could do it with the bull rush. He could do it with the finesse. He could do it with the arm movement. It's a thing of beauty. It's an absolute thing of beauty. And watching him last night, I said it going into the game, you're going to win this game. You force Baker Mayfield into turnovers. You force this Buccaneers team into turnovers. Absolutely. Like, I already thought the Eagles were going to win the game. I thought it was, you force 1 turnover, you're going to dominate this game. 25-11 isn't exactly the carbon copy of a dominated game, but on defensively, it sure as hell is. And this defensive line dominated. This offensive line dominated. The Eagles, again, their goal is always to build strong in the trenches. And just like last week's game, this was the perfect example of that. You want to beat us? You got to beat us in the trenches. And nobody's matching up with the offense and defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles right now. It is absolutely incredible. So Jalen Carter, Jalen Hurts, Reed Blankenship, Eagles offensive line, DeAndre Swift. Those are the guys that really jump out to me. Honorable mention. I guess I'll call this a good try. So Avonte Maddox out, as we know. Mario Goodrich is supposed to be the guy that was going to be playing at the slot corner position. Oh, boy, he was inactive. Love to find out more about that when Sean Desai addresses the media later in the week, but inactive. Okay. James Bradbury in the slot. Let's not see that ever again. The argument, if you're waving pom-poms for everything the Eagles do ever with just Eagles colors glasses and you're not, trying to be objective at all, the objective for them was to have James Bradberry play closer to the middle where Mike Evans does most of his damage. Mike Evans didn't have a great game. You tell me he's getting 60 yards against you. I'm like, yeah, you could have that. Sure. Saw safety on him. You saw Josh Jobe on him. You saw Darius Slay on him. Slay almost had an interception in that first possession by the Buccaneers. It got tipped around a little bit there by Mike Evans, and then Darius Slay couldn't come down with it, unfortunately. Then you saw a good play there by Sidney Brown in the corner of the end zone, go over and just in the last second get a little bit of Mike Evans' hand to prevent a touchdown. Mike Evans was bobbling a little bit to begin with. A little shifty there, Mike Evans. But it looked like Sidney Brown came over just in the last second, was able to get a little bit of his hand to maybe break that concentration or break the ability to just kind of corral that football one last time to bring it in for the touchdown. Didn't happen. So that was good. But the idea of James Bradberry playing slot, I think I'm good. Don't need that anymore. I need my Keely Ringo. I need Eli Ricks. I need the Josh Jobes of the world to step up, be able to play that spot. And I like to keep James Bradberry right where he has been and having himself a nice little run here in Philadelphia. So let's just, if you'd be so kind, Eagles, Sean Desai, I need a slot corner. And I don't think that's James Bradberry. So let's just put it to you like that. Also, Sidney Brown ended up coming in the game before he got hurt. I think he hurt his leg last night. There's a lot of things that we're looking at right now with the Eagles and what we're looking at right now with this slot corner position. And they tried a lot last night, and not a lot of it worked. Not a lot of it worked, unfortunately. But everywhere else, things seem to fall into place well for the Eagles in this victory. Just to go through the game real quick before I get your comments and also get to what was said after the game by your head coach and your quarterback. Starting things off, the hell did I write in my notes here? Oh, Covey. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm like, cover. I'm like, oh, that's a Y. I'm a moron. Covey has the huge return. I think it was 54 yards. Helped set up the Eagles in a field goal, puts them up 3-0. Prior to that, Eagles had a great opening drive. Couldn't cap it off, unfortunately, but they were moving the football. Their first possession, I should say. After they were able to stop the Bucs, they get the ball. They move upfield. A.J. Brown has a couple of catches. Things were looking good, and then it stalled out. Had the bad fourth down call, I believe. I agree with the decision to go for it. I disagree entirely with the strategy and the play call and the personnel, but whatever. Eagles are still able to go up 3-0. Then you got Joey Piloto with the sack. Then Bradberry comes up in that second quarter, gets burnt in the slot. I think it was by Chris Godwin in that particular instance. That was not a good look. That gave me some concerns going forward. Then Sidney Brown comes up, and he's able to take away that touchdown that I just mentioned. Instead of it being a 7-3 game, it ends up being just a 3-3 game. They get the field goal there. Zaccheaus comes up with his first catch. That's a 34-yard reception from Jalen Hurts. That's the play where Jalen Hurts in the second quarter is able to scramble to his left, turn upfield, and then find Zaccheaus upfield for 34 yards. Then 54-yard touchdown reception from Zaccheaus, from Jalen Hurts to Zaccheaus, made it a 10-3 game. Blankenship gets the interception, and then Hurts' interception. This is what sucked about that interception, other than the fact that it was an interception. It's that I saw a wheel route. One of the things I was really excited about with DeAndre Swift wasn't just the idea of having a screen game. It was the idea of having a wheel route. You haven't seen wheel routes really since Darren Sproles. So I see that play get run, and then I look at it and I go, oh, they weren't on the same page at all. That is a miscommunication and a half. Now I don't have this cut for you, but after the game, Jalen Hurts said when he was asked about the interceptions in the first one, which was the wheel route to Swift, he said he started off by saying, "I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be that guy." I was like, not going to be that guy. DeAndre Swift run the wrong route? What the hell happened on that play? DeAndre Swift was mum on it after the game. I don't think anybody even asked him about it. But Nick Sirianni is miscommunication. Jalen Hurts then did say it was a miscommunication. So I'm going to go ahead and take it as a miscommunication. But I was excited to see that, and I'm glad that's in the Eagles playbook. But anyway, it was an interception. Starts going the other way for the Bucs, and then what happens? So Jalen Hurts throws an interception. Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter come up with the sack. Then Carter forces the fumble with 24 seconds left. Eagles are able to turn that into 3 points. So now instead of it just being a 10-3 Eagles lead, it's a 13-3 Eagles lead at the half. Come out in the third quarter, Swift has that incredible hurdle run for 26 yards up the middle. That drive results in a Hurts tush push for a touchdown. They go up 20-3, and then the Eagles are able to handle the business after that. Hurts throws another interception at 3:46 left in the third quarter, and then they get a safety. So Hurts throws an interception. They get a sack, a forced fumble recovery, 3 points. Hurts throws another interception. They get a safety out of that as it was right on the goal line. Nicholas Morrow getting through right behind those DTs that I've spoken so highly of. Gets into the backfield for a safety. And if you didn't see it, Darius Slay, I laughed out loud. The little safety dance he did, it was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, a lot of fantastic today. Anyway, Eagles end up going up 22-3, and of course they end up winning this ball game 25-11. Nothing but good vibes. Nothing but good vibes for me after this one. I wanted to see improvement from Brian Johnson. I saw improvement from Brian Johnson. I saw improvement play calling. And before I go any further, I want to introduce this little conspiracy theory that Seth Joyner didn't mean to put this thought in my head, but he put this thought in my head. So if you remember, and how could you forget, last year the Eagles were very reliant on the RPO. Shane Steichen, very, very happy and in love with the RPO. And after many games last year, you heard time and time again from Nick Sirianni that they tried to run the ball more, but either Jalen Hurts checked out of it or their run game was made up in the RPO game. But they just happened to pass out of that. And every time that would come up, I would be over here going, okay, here's just a thought. Take away the pass option part of that. Take away the option and just call, wait for it, a running play. You still with me? All right, I know it's difficult. Okay, ready? Instead of calling a run pass option, just call a run. What? Wait, you want to run the football? Just call a run. So Seth Joyner goes back to that philosophy. Talks about it last night on the postgame show. And he said it's something that the Eagles can still do. It's just a matter of not wanting to break it out until later. And when they do, they will be unstoppable. So my thought, my little conspiracy theory here is, what if Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni, and maybe even Jalen Hurts to an extent, before the season said, all right, you know what? We're going to try something different. We're going to do something different. Maybe Brian Johnson's overall philosophy as a play caller in the NFL is to get away from RPOs. I don't know. But it's something that the Eagles can certainly still do. And if you make defensive ends, if you make edge rushers start to have to read Jalen Hurts again, oh, yeah, Jalen Hurts can hurt you again. He can absolutely hurt you again. So what if this is something that the Eagles are saying, well, maybe one of the reasons why they've been struggling as an offense as far as that passing game is one aspect of it is just being wiped away. A play that the Eagles, although I've had issues with the amount of times they've run it, maybe a play that the Eagles have had so much success with in the past, they're saying we're not doing that in the early goings of the season. To Seth Joyner's idea from last night, we're going to make teams forget that we even run it. And then when we need it, we're going to break it out and just blow their minds. I'm here for it. Maybe one of the reasons that Brian Johnson in this offense has struggled is because they have purposely just taken the RPO and said, all right, forget it. We're not going to use it right now. We're going to have that behind glass and a case of emergency, break glass. And speaking of that glass, all throughout last week, I referenced Mike Misselli's question to me and to Derek Gunn and to Seth Joyner on that postgame show a week ago about the concern level in the Philadelphia Eagles after they improved to 2-0. I had the lowest. I was not concerned. I had the lowest percentage of concern. I was like 30%. I think Gunner was at 60. I think Seth was at 70. I was at 30. I have this team go to the Super Bowl. So the first two games of the season that they still win, I'm not going to go, oh, man, abandon ship. We're all going to die. Get out of here. No, I'm not going to do that. That'd be an overreaction. All right. So watching this team play these first three games and watching them play their first two games, I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to have that glass that I've referenced over the panic button. I'm going to have it off, and my hand's going to be over the panic button if they struggle against the Bucs. No need to even know where the panic button is at this point. You watch a team like the Dallas Cowboys go out there who were outscoring their opponents in the first 2 weeks of the season 70-10. That's pretty good. Then you watch them against the Cardinals, and they pooed the bed. The Packers come back, and they beat the New Orleans Saints in a battle of 2-0s. And the Saints quarterback gets injured, and Jordan Love makes a couple of great throws. You watched 3. Did I make sure I get this right again? I know I referenced it yesterday, but I want to get it one more time. You watched 3 of the 4 teams that were underdogs by at least 7.5 points. The Colts, the Texans, and the Cardinals, who were 11.5-point underdogs, win their football games. You've seen some crazy football. And at some point, the craziness will catch up with the Eagles, and they'll have a game not like this coming up against the Commanders, because I don't think they have this game against the Commanders that they have their struggles. But, there's one game out there that's just like, no matter what we do, we're just not going to win this game. Like if you're the Eagles. No matter what we do, we're going to lose. We're going to lose. That's it. There's going to be a game like that. There's going to be a dud. And you can look at these games from week 3 and go, oh, there's a lot of duds out there. A lot of teams didn't play up to their best ability. But there's one like that waiting for the Eagles somewhere on the schedule. I don't think it's this one in particular. But I watched those teams this week have their struggles. The Ravens, certainly the Cowboys, obviously. They didn't look so hot. The Texans, and they come back and win, obviously. Or they win. It was wild. It's a wild week, and this wild week did not get the Eagles. The Eagles got this week and made it wild. 3-0. That's pretty damn good. It's a nice way to start the season. It's a real nice way to start the season. All right. Without further ado, let's hear from the locker room and see what these guys were saying after the game. First and foremost, I'm going to get to this. This is just Nick Sirianni's overall reaction to the win.
So I just felt like we came away just really playing our game, and we want to be, tough and together. And we definitely, part of toughness is being physical, and that was what I felt like what really stood out to this game.
Very simple. He also talked about the offensive defensive line and their dominance in this one and where the game started and ended and all that stuff. They played their game. I couldn't agree with that more. That's absolutely what the Eagles did. Secondly, he talked about DeAndre Swift and what he brings to the table here. It is pretty special, pretty fantastic when we talk about what DeAndre Swift brought to the table, and this is why Nick Sirianni thinks he's such a great fit in this offense.
Super elusive. We know how good he can be catching the football too. It's just the way the flow of the game's been, where we haven't needed that yet. But he's a weapon to catch the football as well and make plays. We got a little screen to him today. I thought was a good play and a good play by our offensive line. But he's elusive. He's explosive. He's tough. He's really had a nice start to this season.
Absolutely has. Again, it's just amazing to me that he has jumped out like this during the season. The 2 games of the 3. He's jumped out like this when trusted with the football, and he was not RB1 to start things out. Seems odd. The guy's basically been a running back for 2 games this year, and he's the second best rusher in the league. And it goes to show you how great the offensive line is, but also that man reading the line, reading where the holes are, he's been fantastic. Absolutely. Reading his blocks. Wow. Just absolute wow. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So, again, not the greatest performance from Jalen Hurts, but this is why I don't like the box score. And I don't go by the box score. I go by what I'm watching in the game. And sometimes I watch it, I watch the game, and I look at the box score and go, oh, that matches up pretty well. That tells the story. But this box score with Jalen Hurts does not tell the story. Again, 23 of 37 for 277 and a 71.6 passer rating. That doesn't tell the story to me. He had an up and down game. Maybe that's what you get out of it. But there are times where he threw the football or he had drives and possessions where it looked like he could very easily have a 120 passer rating, whatever. So Jimmy Kempski, a Philly voice, I thought asked a fair question after the game about just, the offense. You can't say that it's taken off. Like against the Vikings, they had 2 huge passing plays, and that accounted for like 70% of their passing offense. So to say that it hasn't taken off yet, I think is fair because you haven't hit your stride as far as consistency has gone. It can't be a possession by possession type of evaluation. It's got to be like, wow, he had a good game. Not, oh, this was a good possession. That wasn't so great. This was great. That wasn't great. Like, it's got to be a consistent thing. Now, in this particular game, I thought it was the closest thing to consistency, but still a little too inconsistent. So I think it's a fair question when you ask about why hasn't the passing game taken off yet. Well, why hasn't it? What's the deal? So Jimmy Kempski asked the question after the game, and this is the way Nick Sirianni addressed it.
You know, I just when you're running it and you're up big like we were, like I just think it's unfair to say that the passing offense hasn't taken, like we were up, you know, and we're going to be running the football. And so the game, it's easy to look at the box score at the end of the game, and it's easy to look at the box score, you know, where we are in the season right now and say, well, yeah, the pass offense, well, in these last couple games, these last 2 games, we've been up. And that game the flow of the game changes when you are that way. And so, like, I think have we been hitting a bunch of explosives? I don't know. I'll have to look at the explosives from today. But, I think we're a balanced offense right now that was able to, you know, get a lead tonight and then lean on the run game. I mean, shoot, at the end of that game, like for 9 minutes on our last drive, we hold the football and we threw it twice or 3 times in that. Like, your numbers are going to get skewed that way.
All right. The longest run was 29 yards for DeAndre Swift. The longest pass for Jalen Hurts, 34 yards it was to Olamide Zaccheaus. Their explosive plays were good. Were real good in this game. But I to say that you just looked at the box score, I don't think is fair to the question. I think it's a legit question. And I'm still waiting for that game where I go, oh, we're all fine. Everyone's fine. Everything's great. Everything's just like last year, that kind of thing. And it's a fair thing if you're a fan and you're thinking something along the same lines, because this Eagles team is doing the exact same thing. And that's why I think this team has been so successful, especially over the last 2 years, is because whether it's keeping the main thing, or it's just, you know, worried about playing to your standard, it's not just about that final score. You win. That's great. And that's ultimately what matters. But the Eagles, it's about the standard, and the standard is looking like a Super Bowl contender. That's the standard. And the Eagles don't feel like they've played at that standard yet. I think that standard is in front of them. And like, who wants to ever say, well, yeah, actually, I think our best game was the Vikings, so we will never play like that again. So, no, you always want to believe that your best football's in front of you, of course. And that's where the Eagles are. And I think they still are in pursuit of that perfection and getting closer to that perfection. Look, if 100% is perfection, I think what we have seen from the Eagles so far, and this is amazing to say about a 3-0 team, I think we've seen 75, 80% maybe. If you're being the most optimistic, I think you've seen about 80. Now, defensively speaking, I think you've seen about 95. You've seen some pretty damn good football. Offensively speaking, a little inconsistent, a little erratic. But it's all part of figuring it out. This is all part of figuring it out, especially with the new play caller, especially with the new offensive coordinator. Defensively, Sean Desai, I think just and how he has been using his talent. It's Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis, especially. A guy I didn't even mention. I'm talking about the entire Eagles offensive line. I didn't even mention Jordan Davis. Like, Jalen Carter looks like that beast. He looks like that man amongst boys. Jordan Davis in a leap to, like, for a defensive tackle, it's like, I am watching Jordan Davis almost take a Hurtsian leap from year 1 to year 2. Like, year 1 as a starter for Jalen Hurts to year 2 as a starter, giant leap. I am watching Jordan Davis as a DT take a similar type of leap with his dominance on the defensive line. And we needed to see that. We wanted to see that. We're begging to see it, and we've seen it so far this season. And maybe it's Jalen Carter. Maybe it's Fletcher Cox. I also think a huge part of it is Jordan Davis himself putting in the work and understanding what it means to be a professional. It's not that I ever thought he took it lightly last year. It's just that sometimes you take that extra year and you go, okay, I understand what's going on here. I understand what I got to do to prepare my body to be in better shape, to understand the play call, to understand what the offense is going to try to do in this particular situation, I think it's great. Speaking of leaps, let's get to Jalen Hurts. Let's talk about one of the things that I didn't like this storyline, but I understand why people went there. Jalen Hurts' last game against Todd Bowles was a long time ago. And that little clip of Jalen Hurts doesn't know how to read a defense there, the NFL Films caught on the sidelines, that was a long time ago. That was a Hurtsian leap ago. That was an MVP candidate ago. That was a Super Bowl appearance ago. That's not Jalen Hurts anymore. Now, in the first quarter, again, it felt like a little boxing match. You're finding out where the guy's going, okay? Finding out what Todd Bowles is doing, finding out where the blitzing is coming from. There was a corner blitz that they dialed up that was to the blind side of Jalen Hurts in that, I think it was the first quarter. Jalen Hurts didn't even know it was coming. I thought a sack fumble was coming up, but he was able to get away from it at the last minute and get rid of the football as well. But after that, it felt like Jalen Hurts did a much better job, and Jason Kelce did a much better job of picking up where the blitzes were, shifting protection, checking out of plays, and getting rid of the football well if they didn't read it well initially. So I thought that was great. But that storyline of Todd Bowles versus Jalen Hurts, again, I didn't like going into it because they were so far apart. But as we played for you guys last week, Jalen Hurts, it was a part of it. It was a part of the conversation, and any extra added inspiration, according to Jalen Hurts, is never a bad thing. So he had a little bit of that extra added motivation. Here's Jalen Hurts after the game talking about 2 years ago versus now and what they saw in this particular game that helped them win.
There for it, or just something you just kind of
absolutely. You know, I think that's something that Todd Bowles is known for, and he does a great job with. And I think, I think the last time we played him, I didn't do a great job of truly being patient in the pocket. And so I feel like that was something that I took a step in tonight, and, with those steps you take forward, you want to learn from everything, and so learning from that and continue to build on that. And continue to learn from the mistakes that were made today. And so that's the main thing moving forward. I'll sit here and say till my time is done. Keep the main thing, move forward, and continue to grow and soak up as much as I can. And with each experience is a new tool and a new page of knowledge that you can learn from. So it's all good.
Damn right, it's all good. Absolutely love to hear that from your quarterback. The learning process and how much he continues to improve. I feel like this game was almost a demon for Jalen Hurts to exercise. He's exercised the Todd Bowles demon. Just getting the win. It's all that matters at this point. For a guy like Jalen Hurts in this particular game. Hey, did you guys have fun yesterday? Hope you guys had fun yesterday. You can have fun for the entire NFL season with MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Make your money work smarter, not harder, with MyBookie. Celebrate your winning season with MyBookie's biggest welcome offer ever. A 110% deposit match on your first deposit. You heard that right. You can more than double your money before you even place a bet by making a deposit with MyBookie. All you have to do is go to MyBookie.ag and use my promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy to claim this bonus. Make sure you act quick because this offer only is available for this week, and you can only get it with my promo code Farzy. That's my promo code Farzy for a full slate of NFL and college football. There are plenty of options to bet and win, so don't be a guy who missed out. Don't be that guy. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. That's right. You can celebrate your winning season with MyBookie's biggest welcome offer ever, a 110% deposit match. That's a deposit match for your first deposit. Just go to mybookie.ag and use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy for this incredible offer from MyBookie. So take advantage of it all. Let's get to the chat check and see how you beautiful people are doing this fine morning. I got the Farzy Show YouTube channel. I got the Jacob Media YouTube channel. Let's start it over on Jacob Media today and see how you people are doing over here. Let's get in right here. Daytime Frank. What's up, Daytime Frank? Victory Tuesday. Farzy can't bet the bar. You were up late last night. You're on the chat. I saw you. What's going on? Early, bench a few plates, do a little fightings, clinch on Nola Day. Damn right, the Nola Day. Phillies clinch. I'm not excited about the clinching of the playoffs. Like that doesn't they to me they made the playoffs a long time ago. All right, I've been saying it for a long time. Tonight they clinch the playoffs. Whatever. I want to just give me 2 more wins, clinch home field advantage in the first round. That's something I'm going to celebrate. That's something. Little cigar, little champagne. You know what I'm saying? Little prosecco. That's what I'll enjoy. Anyway, Victor Hernandez. The O line is really good, but so is Swift. If it was all the O-line, then Gainwell would be averaging 3.5 yards per carry. I absolutely agree. Eagles need to make a move. This is 4 for 4 report. What's up? Eagles need to make a move on slot corner ASAP because Job outside doesn't look good either. That does not look good. I concur. Yeah, look, Mike Evans got held to 60 yards. That's pretty impressive. He also had 2 drops that you don't really see ever from Mike Evans, but he had 60 yards and an incredible catch. Why won't the Eagles stick to the run like they should with Swift? Well, you don't want to keep in today's NFL, especially with the MO of DeAndre Swift, he doesn't have huge workloads. They're not going to continue to run him. I know it works. I know it looks great. There is some kind of management about overall endurance, and it's only week 3. So I had no problem when they shifted to Gainwell. I had a huge problem when they shifted to Gainwell on 4th and 1 in that first quarter on their first drive. That was stupid. Mike Vaselli had the postgame show called it weird. I said, Mike, I just want to say, you call it weird, I call it trash. That was a trash play call, and the personnel in that particular instance on a 4th and 1. I don't care what your running back rotation is. It's still the first quarter. It's your first possession. Nobody should be tired yet. All right, in the third quarter, when you see Jason Kelce sitting on the sidelines, he's like, and he's like, oh, God, that was a long drive. That's tired. That's okay. That I understand. But DeAndre Swift, get out of here on a 4th and 1 in your first possession and bring in Kenny Gainwell. But ridiculous. Anyway. Can't complain much about the secondary under 200 yards against. Not Robert. I'm not mad. Marcus, what's up? Who would have thought it was a good idea to give Kenny Gainwell a ball on fourth and a full 2? I agree with you. Not a good idea. We should be running the ball with Swift until someone stops us. Why do we stop ourselves? Well, because you do want to get your quarterback going at some point. And look, here's the thing. The run game is not going anywhere. Like, here's what you can take away from the Vikings game. Eagles pass game was non-existent, and the Eagles went, okay, let's shift gears. Run game, dominant. 13 to 16 plays in that touchdown drive against the Vikings. Yeah, you're pretty dominant. Your running back is second in the league in rushing, and he didn't even touch the ball. He had 1 carry in the first game of the season. That's pretty dominant. For Jalen Hurts does look slower, but maybe due to being ill. Did he not sound ill? He sounded like a kid that was like, Mom, I can't go to school today. Why not? Oh, you do sound bad. Yeah, you're going to stay home today. That's what he sounded like. Great post-game show. Don't forget about Mr. Slate. Laugh out loud. What? Sorry. Brian, but thank you. We enjoy the post-game show. 4 Barbara Babs. Lions dumped Swift because he was inconsistent and fumbled, but now behind this O-line, he's incredible. I agree. Farzy, I watched the game. Hurts wasn't good. Sorry, now using flu as an excuse. Joe Burrow is injured and hasn't practiced in 3 months, but people are here to make fun of him. Look, it was not an all-around game from Jalen Hurts. The interceptions. The first one, I'm going to put on Swift. The second one, there was no reason. You're up 20-3 with 3:46 left in the third quarter. Why are you heaving the football down the field? It just made no sense. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. I didn't like that. It was a bad decision. Bad decision by Jalen Hurts. I'm not going to crucify him for it, but it just was not at all a good decision. What else do we got here? Baz, why do people criticize the Eagles Why do people criticize the Eagles defense when without all those turnovers, the Eagles would have 1 or 2 losses right now? People are criticizing. I think it's very specific. If people are criticizing the defense overall, that's just stupid. But like to nit, I mean, look, I call it nitpicking, but I call it focusing. zeroing in on things that weren't going well the Eagles defensively. That's fair. But the Eagles defense has been great. Still in the competition of who's the better new coordinator, Sean Desai's way up here. Brian Johnson's like right around here, still trying to figure it out. The mommy? What's up, the mommy? Let's go, Farzy. Our birds! Damn right. Crypto, what's up? The flu is an excuse. Being unwell can affect one's ability. I agree. Okay. Guess who's 3-0? Anthony Gilbert, what's going on? The birds are 3-0, baby. The birds are 3-0. Hop over to the Farzy Show channel. What's going on, guys? Going to say hello over here to my peeps. Professor Dutch, I see you. April. Mally! IBH, what's going on? Sean Kilrain, what's going on? For those on the Jacob Media Sports Show, my show is simulcasted on the Farzy Show YouTube channel as well as the Jacob Sports YouTube channel. So I'm now looking at Farzy Show. IBH, what's going on? Mike Fuji, greetings from Tampa. Oh, of course you're down in Tampa, aren't you? Good for you. Professor, I didn't realize there were so many hating-ass San Fran and Dallas fans lurking in Philly sports chats now. Wow. Jacob was packed with them last night. They love to hate. They love to hate. You know what? I don't care because they don't live rent-free in my brain. I don't allow that. Oh, Professor does. I subscribe to a couple Dallas fan YouTubers, but only for the inevitable Dak choke melt job streamers, meltdown streams. That's great. Which makes me love the Farzy chat even more. Good morning. Morning victory. Smoke him if you got him. Damn right, Professor Dutch. T-Bro, what's going on? Mally, smoke him if you got him. There you go. Crash test Covey. Yeah, pretty much. Fuji, hello. T-Bro, worst thing about the game last night was the crap ESPN and ABC were pulling with the split screen. Oh my God, that was driving me crazy. Crazy. You have the game staggered by an hour. You know why? Because people want to watch one game and they don't want to watch the other game. Were they trying to do like their own version of Red Zone? I'm not here for that. Okay. Have that. We'll do split screens. Use that on ESPN too. Okay. Give me ABC with the Eagles. Give me ESPN with the Chargers and the Bengals and their crap game last night. No, Rams and Cardinals. Their crap. Cardinals. Bengals and Rams who played last night. Give me that on like a split on ESPN 2, but give me that game on like just ESPN. You want to do split screen, save it on one channel that I can turn to, and guess what? I'm never going to turn to it. Not at least last night's instance, that's for sure. Sean Cohen, Mark, the amazing neckline. Oh, is it going a little crazy? Am I like Nick Castellanos right now? I'm trying, man. There we go. April, good morning. Reed Blankenship looked like he didn't miss a beat. You agree, says Sean Kilrain. I concur fully. I did tell you there's going to be one play, at least one play where Mike Evans was going to go up over top of Ed Reed Blankenship and handle the business. And he certainly did. Mihai, say what's up, Mihai? Oh, wait, April. Now Jalen has a flu game. It wasn't a flu. I ordered a pizza. I ate the whole thing. It was food poisoning. One of my favorite takeaways from Last Dance. Good morning, all. Red zone will be better. Hurts getting his very few mistakes for the season out of the way. There we go. Only goes up from here. This team is Jalen squared. Hurts and Carter. That's funny. Sean Killer, where the hell is Penny at? I want to say this, man. I watched we all watched Penny in that Vikings game. I see why he was inactive in week 1. He ain't got it, man. I don't know if the injury is taking its toll, and that's that. I don't want to wish anything upon the guy that's negative, but he is slow to the line of scrimmage. That hole closes. Like, it feels like DeAndre Swift is at the hole waiting for it to open up while Rashad Penny is just getting the ball in his hands. Like, that's the difference. So yeah, I don't fault the Eagles for that. Baker was scared out of his mind last night, says Mally. I totally agree with that. Every single second he had to worry about where that D-line was. Mally, I see the Flyers are still being the Flyers. Yeah, that's for sure. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Mark, you supply the cigar, and I got something to put it. I see what you did there. Hey, guys, Jim Hyde approves program. Did a wonderful job as per usual. You like me? Bonus me today. Coming up at 8 o'clock, I'll be in with Birds 365 with our friend Jody McDonald coming up. Jim Hyder produced the show. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye.